smoking burnt up. New York speak, you speak, true speak, universe dirt, burnt to loosely.
Hey, Red River Podcast. Here we are again. This list was pretty fucking hard to make, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I thought 90s was going to be a little bit harder. This was pretty hard. So we're gonna do our favorite beats of hip hop beats of 2000 to 2009. I like to ask everyone as usual because I had my own formula as to how to come up with stuff. So, Joe, welcome back. Just give me a rundown how you made this list.
Well, glad to be back. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Red River crew. So I think either offline or maybe during the 90s discussion, we had the formula talk about no lyrics, right? You just hear the beat still to this day and you can rock with it, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of kept that in bringing it to Y2K. And it just coming up with this list makes me realize how much I stopped listening to hip hop radio, after my kid was born in 2005. I was listening, after that, as you're listening to, as parents would know, you listen to Radio Disney and stuff like that a lot more than you would be Hot 97 or Power 105. So my list is early to mid 2000s heavy. But I did go back and research, like, oh yeah, I did like that song from 2009 or 2006,
Yeah.
So, but really just the core was like previous, the 90s show is about the beat elements, like little elements that the producer would put in there that would make you like really like turn your head like, oh man, that's cool. Even to this day. So I'll have stuff like that, little tidbits, like we all probably will. That was kind of like, I stayed true to the formula.
Cool. Josh, welcome back, man.
Thanks, man.
I know that you I heard you just recorded a double album. Is there any truth to that?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. I wasn't sure. So
Yeah.
but I definitely need you on that remix of that song I sent. So so listen, how did you break down this list and come up with it? Because I went a little different on mine, so I'll get into it when I get up to it. So just curious.
Same thing as Joe said. I tried to really focus on the beat and not the song, because there are so many good songs, but if you take the lyrics away and think about the beat on its own, does it hold up? So that was kind of the first thing. That was like my first criteria. The other criteria was to really focus on beats that like blew my mind. Like, forget about the song, like I said, like just, it was hard. It's obviously hard to not consider what still holds up now, X amount of years later. That's kind of the issue that kind of like messes up maybe how you would have felt back then. But again, like I really tried to focus on like this beat like blew my head off,
Cool.
and still like even when I look back on it in retrospect, it's like there was nothing like there was never anything like this. Like this beat is ridiculous.
Yeah. There was a
Yeah,
lot,
that's
lot
that.
there was a lot of creativity coming out of like that the 90s sound. They got away a lot from like the sampling and stuff like that, which I listen to this day. Of course, I'll always go for sampling.
Right.
So yeah, curious to see, because I know this is a different time in hip hop. Like everything kind of like changed. Like radio did kind of like have its moment. But Langan, just with you real quick, how did you put this together?
Similar to you guys, the beat mainly without the lyrics, taking that out. The track. One fun thing about doing these too is you really, because all the songs we've done since the 80s, 90s, whatever, I just listen to them and enjoy them, whatever. But like piecing them together in like a time period where you hear these movements of styles and like the era of Primo and the era of, as we're going to get into, Pharrell, probably, I'm sure a lot, and certain guys, and how these ebbs and flows, creatively, but piecing them together as far as decades has been like a fun process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a lot of songs, man, just like I'm sure all you guys did, because I really wanted to stay true to what I was like. The 2000s for me was very big into the indie hip hop scene. I was going
Mhm.
to a lot of Def Jux stuff, a lot of like, Rhyme Sayer stuff, a lot of shows at like SOBs, Jedi Mind Tricks, nonfiction, that type stuff. So I wanted to really showcase that stuff as well. So there's stuff that I discovered later on that I really like, but I kind of wanted to keep that mind frame as to like a time like 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 if you would have asked me like right at like 2009 what I would have thought. I tried to stay true to that. So cool, man. So I know we all have a bunch of honorables. I know I do too. So Joe, just give me some honorables before we get into our 10.
Oh, okay. Did we, just to wonder about last format, did we do honorable mentions up front and then 10 through 1?
Yeah,
I
That's
think
how
we
we
did
did.
all our
Okay.
10, right? And then
we
Roundtable?
yeah, we did the round.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to preface this, and I'm sure you guys feel the same, this was very difficult. And again, apologies to the songs that did not make this list.
you're listening.
They're
You know,
listening.
they have to know.
If you don't get a text back, don't be surprised.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, so I have 10 honorable mentions. And honestly, and maybe you guys feel the same way, like these could easily have been in the top 10 and not just
Oh,
honorable mentions.
absolutely. Yeah, my list for sure. Yeah.
But the attempt to just like rank them, on the outside and then the top 10, that was a chore in itself. So like Lang had said, this is fun, to even just go through a process like this in your mind, your file cabinets in your head. But I'm just going to go really in no particular order for the honorable mentions because they're all worthy. So number 1, I'll go 1 to 10. Starts off with 2001, You Can't Deny It by Fabulous and Nate Dogg. Our producer, Rick Rock, E40 producer who kind of got his break with Jay-Z in the like 2000, 2001 range with Change the Game. But that was what a heck of a intro for Fabulous, right? That was a banger on Hot 97. Like it was always on. Before you were like, who's this guy? And then by the end of the summer, you're like, oh my God, this song is.
That dude had a moment that time period.
Yeah.
He had a moment,
Everywhere.
and when you really listen to Fab, who was a pop, like he was a popular guy. Bars, like when you really like, there was a moment in time where I'm like, I'd rather listen to like ASAP Rock, what I mean, something like whatever my frame of mind was back then. But when you listen to Fab, you're like, oh yeah, this guy's got bars.
Yeah. Number 2, 2002, I'm Gonna Be All Right remix by J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez featuring Nas. Producers, Track Masters, and for everyone who's like, oh, J-Lo, she's not hip hop. She's literally a girl from the block. She's from the Bronx. She did this remix album, J to the Low, which
She
featured
was a
like,
fly girl.
I mean,
She was a
yeah,
fly girl. Yeah.
but like at the heart of it, she's Bronx. She did a record with Nas on as guest, Ja Rule, Fat Joe, Diddy, and so this I'm Gonna Be All Right is a total remix by the Trackmasters. And it lifts Looney's I Got 5 on it, so that was automatically like I'll listen to this every time it comes on, even though it's J-Lo.
Yeah, we reference I Got 5 on it all day long. You just did it,
For real.
Langin, recently.
I
Whatever.
can't stop.
I
Won't
can't
stop.
stop to this day. You're like, yo, I got 5 on it.
Number 3, All Y'all by Timbaland and Magoo, featuring Tweet. For those who might remember Tweet, she had a couple of really good songs in the early 2000s, but they were all at Virginia, Virginia Beach crew. Producers Timbaland, also artist in the song. Anyone who knows that song might have heard the sample, which is like Asian or Mediterranean, but it's really an Irish song by this band called Solus, Made on the Shore. If anyone wants to YouTube it or go to Who Sampled, it is literally so catchy, and it's the exact. He just lifted it, put it on the beat. Number 4, Staying in Virginia or Staying Down South, Ugly by Bubba Sparks. Again, Timbaland is producer.
That's a good one.
It's kind of a cheat code because Timbaland switches into the Missy Get Your Freak On beat at the end. Copywritten, so don't copy me. So it's kind of like I piggyback that beat because it's got that in the in the Ugly Bubba Sparks beat. Number 5, I'm staying down south for a little bit. Sick of Being Lonely by Field Mob.
Wow.
Producer Jazzy Faye. Yeah, I know
I-
Josh has got that southern, he's got the southern knowledge from that area. So
Barely.
I mean, it was a Hot 97. Being from up here, Hot 97 was, if you heard it on there or Power 105, it's like it's probably nationally known or getting to be known. So this is like a little dirty south, very melodic, and it was a little different from what was going on at the time up here. And to this day, I could still like mess with the beat. It's just so laid back. Number 6, Forever by Drake, Kanye West, whose name's inevitably gonna have to come up. Unavoidable.
For sure.
Lil Wayne and Eminem. It's from LeBron James documentary More Than a Game, 2009. Our producer is Boy Wonder. Now what I think it was Langan who said that earlier. The sounds of the travels of like the hip hop from like this is late in the decade compared to like early in the decade. This is markedly different from stuff that you heard in like the 2000s, 2001, 2002. But I think everyone knows it by now. Whether you were forced to listen to it on the radio or you went and sought it out. But it's kind of that late in the decade futuristic feel. And one of the Drake songs that I really do still rock with today. 7, Addictive by Truth Hurts, featuring a guest verse by Rakim.
That's a good one.
Produced by Dr. Dre, belly dancing beat, killer verse by Rakim. But if we're not taking that out, you could just mess with the beat. You could go to like a Pilates class or belly dancing class, and it would
There you
fit
go.
right in. And
Yeah.
it was also very different from what was going on at the time, and that's from 2002. Number 8, The Way I Am by Eminem, produced by Dr. Dre. I could have switched this interchangeably with Cleaning Out My Closet because I thought musically they're just so earwormy. But I went with this one because the piano riff and the bass line is just so catchy throughout. And then the church bells and a distorted guitar string join the bass line for that angry, ominous feel, which kind of sends you back to like 2000 Eminem, before he was, who he is now or who he became. Number 9.
And I'll cut you off. A notorious, terrible beat picker.
Oh, one of the worst
Oh, Eminem, yes. Yeah.
ever.
He should have stayed with Dre for as long as he could. Number 9 is Try Again by Aaliyah, back to Timbaland. Romeo Must Die soundtrack, starring Aaliyah, Jet Li. It's an homage to Eric B. and Rakim's I Know You Got Soul, because the line that goes throughout is like, it's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you. So that's what I mentioned about the little things that they drop in other
Yeah.
than the music and the
Love
beat. It's
that.
like pop culturally, somebody who was a little older and remembers Paid in Full would be like, hey, this is pretty cool. Like, they threw in that little tidbit.
You know who else threw some shit in there last year? When I threw that Eric B. and Rakim lyric in one of our songs last year.
Oh yeah, so
yeah. And
people who get it.
and then I
if you-
named the song Paid in Full like a complete dickhead.
but that's for people who didn't know. But if you know, you know, right? So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
we cover everybody. And then number 10 is Rap Superstar, Cypress Hill. Our producer DJ Muggs. It's got that cello beat that's like, if a cello could be heavy, this is it, right? This is the one. And little things they drop in like spoken word by Noriega and Eminem, is also cool because like, you listen to the beat. Be Real is not rapping, but you're still listening to like stuff that's going on in the song. And then the other thing is the B-side. They made Rock Superstar, which anyone who knows the new metal or everyone was trying to mix everything. New metal and rock stations were playing that like it was going out of style.
Oh, absolutely. That was huge for them.
But it was the same track. They just put like guitar, like bar chords, and like they made like a mosh part out of the chorus. So I thought that was pretty cool by Muggs to do that. So there's my top 10. Apologies to the ones who did not make this list, but
Impressive.
They're all
Yeah,
winners.
put in work.
They're all
Respect.
winners. Josh, give me
Yes, sir.
give me 10 honorables or whatever you got listed.
Yeah. Okay. So first, I want to say you picked the right person to start this because that was a hell of a list. I absolutely do not have any of those on any of my lists.
oh, that's
either.
good though.
Yeah.
No duplicates.
So that's amazing. I also was sitting here thinking about how interesting it is because all of us, you know, all of this stuff when you're looking back on music, you're really focusing on firstly, it's like the emotion that you had when that song was out. You know what I mean? So all of us obviously led different lives. So I started to think about the psychology that went into it. And I was thinking about what Sam said about how he went deep into like the Def Jux and all that other stuff. And he and I always joke about this.
Rapidy,
Um,
rapidy.
right. So for me, number one, I moved to New York in December of '02. So from '02 until the present, it's been, you know, hip hop. I mean, it's been New York radio. So that's number one. More importantly, I was still actively making hip hop music until 2007. And at that point, because I'd moved to New York, it was really crunch time for me. So the psychology of it and kind of the thing that ruined it for me was trying to, for me, balance like where I fit in the space. So it was like I was a rapper's rapper, but I tried everything that I could not to be grouped with like the underground people because in my mind it was too limiting and I wanted to be bigger than that. So I was always trying to like find that right balance of like lyrics and songwriting, but like just commercial enough to where it's like you're trying to bring them into your world, but you're not going too crazy and being like, you know, Tech Nine or somebody like totally off the wall, which I will say that in retrospect, I think that just doing what you do and having everybody come to you is the better way. Like that's my 45, almost 46-year-old mindset, you know, because then you have your core fans and then you could just like tour forever and do what you do. And, you know, listen, everyone has their path. I'm not saying I made a mistake, but I'm saying I made a mistake. And I say all this just to say that, again, my head was very much in the realm of like, what are the good lyrics, but also like this has to sound good because that was always my problem with the Def Juxes and the you know the atmospheres and like all this other stuff. Is just like I listen to it and I go, you don't even want people to like this.
Yeah.
You just want like, all right, somebody put on a beat and I'm gonna do some raps. It's like that's not what you're doing. It's like saying I'm a chef and then it's like, oh, what do you make? It's like, you know, I pour some water in a pot and then I like put it outside and then I put a piece of bread in it. It's like you didn't just cook something, you just did the thing. So like that's always my frustration here. You know, that's the core of it for me. It's like I listen to stuff like that and I go, you're not good at that. That's not a good thing. Like it's for you to express yourself, but people have to listen to it. Like you don't just get to do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
All right, thanks. LP is never coming on the show now.
I don't
Yeah,
care,
wonderful.
man. I don't know. Anyway, but I just wanted to kind of like get into the psychology because I think that anybody that listens to it is going and listens to this podcast is going to hear all of our lists and go, that's weird. I never would have picked that song.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I wanted to like preface all this with like where I was in this mindset.
Okay.
Level
anyway.
setting is level setting.
Yeah,
Anyway, that that's a long road to get from A to B. I will say that some of these were in my top 10, and then I just kept thinking of more things that I liked more up until literally 15 this afternoon, and we plan to record this at 12:30. Anyhow, so we got A Millie by Lil Wayne, produced by Bangladesh. I'm not even a Lil Wayne fan, I want to be honest with you.
That's
but
a good song. That's a good one. That's a good
that
beat.
beat is unbelievable, and it's so simple. Another side note, because I'm just this nerdy about hip hop. I was also thinking about how there was so much intentional commercialism in this era, because this is when rap like really started to be pop music, that a lot of what I wound up picking really simplified. You know what I mean? Like it's very simple kind of grassroots hip hop, but like a new millennial. A new millennial. One's a Mazda and one's the real word. That's a millennia. But anyway, I'm digressing. So A Millie, produced by Bangladesh. Jay-Z Takeover, produced by you know that guy. Crazy, Young Jeezy, produced by Don Cannon. Annie Up, Game, Hate It or Love It, produced by, it said Cool and Dre and Dr. Dre, which means Cool and Dre, and let me get some of those credits and you'll get to be on this album of mine.
That's a good one.
In the Club, 50 Cent. It's so commercial and like none of us ever want to hear it again, but like you just can't deny how amazing that beat was when it just came out. Talib, Just to Get By, produced by that schmuck. Jay-Z, PSA, produced by Just Blaze. Jay-Z, Rock Boys, produced by the Hitmen and Puffy, as if. And then I have a / which is Can't Tell Me Nothing, Flashing Lights, Heard Him Say, We Major, all by, Kanye. And I just figured if I'm going to kind of shit on anybody by not acknowledging one body of work, it's one work of art, it's going to be that guy. But, to leave him off of this list would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in agreement that he is he's either really dumb or really mentally ill.
No, he's mentally ill. He's always been mentally ill. I will tell you that it's fine. I can blow him up. It's fine. But Little Brother has a song with Kanye, and it's from 2002. Kanye was being promoted at that time. Nobody knew who he was. It was like backpack pink polo Kanye. And he came down to a music conference in Durham, North Carolina, where I'm from, and wound up doing a song with Little Brother that Ninth Wonder produced it, Fonte and Pooh are on it, as well as Consequence. It's a great song. It's called I See Now. Most people don't really know it. It's on a Little Brother mixtape called Chitlin Circuit. Anyway, they told me then that he was like a psychopath.
Yeah, okay.
Like they've started, like I heard from Little Brother on a podcast recently, and he kind of started telling some stories about like them going to a strip club and like Kanye like kept running across the street to like the ATM machine like over and over and over and over and over. You know what I mean? Like he was like really excited to be at the strip club. But yeah, I mean, they told me like he was like a very unlikable psychopath in 2002 when no one even knew who he was and thought that his name on the credits was Kane West. Like from back then. He's mentally ill, and then his mom died and he got more mentally ill. I'm not a psychiatrist, but anyway,
it just goes to show you the travels of a decade.
Yeah.
How you can see somebody one way in 2002.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to today, and it's like, what happened to that guy? Like,
like mental illness, narcissism, just never being checked.
For sure.
Having endless amounts of like, money, people around you that are like, oh yeah, you're right. I don't think anyone's
I was just gonna say that. Oh my God. I say that all the time. It's like you take a person that's that arrogant when they have nothing and then give them like $1 billion and put a whole bunch of people around them going, it's amazing. No, totally. That's amazing. I mean, this guy he's going to space. Like he's like totally out of here.
Listen,
when you constantly refer to yourself as a genius, and no one checks that, oh yeah, of course, it's gonna blow up bad.
I will say he's about a year away from doing one of these lists with us. He might be on the he might be on the 2010 to 2019,
and he'll pick his own songs, all of them.
We'll have him and Dylon on. Langan, let's do honorables.
Yeah. So, this list, my 10, I was pretty sure about, and it was just a matter of which I wanted to throw in here in honorables that I was jumping back and forth because I was DJing for a living when like this era. That's all I did. So it's like equal 1 foot in what I would listen to in my car and also what I would play in the club, and then those couple of songs that I could play because I'd be playing in the Hamptons to a bunch of Guidos and mainly and then a back line of like my friends that what they allowed in, Timberlands or something, despite the shoe code or whatever, just because they were with me. But that's kind of where I was coming from on this. Some more complex than others, but whatever, they hit. And these are in no particular order. I got the Beastie Boys, Check It Out from 2004. simple beat, not rocket science, but I love the up tempo Beastie Boys rapping over this with just that. It's a horn sample from Peggy Lee's cover of "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay" that just keeps coming in, and it kind of has that old school feel to it. Just that horn lift, it's just fantastic. And the Beastie Boys just digging the crates better than anybody. So I got that. I got from Cameron, the greatest hip MC of all time. Was he the greatest MC of all time? Number two, what was he? I don't remember.
It was Josh.
Yeah,
I
right.
wasn't not a big Cameron listener, but like this again, going by just the music, there was a track Diplo did, "Want to Be a Hustler." It's not on streaming on fucking Spotify or anything like that. The reason I love it is they took. Do you remember the movie Bugsy Malone?
Yeah, I
Okay,
do.
they took that song at the end, the
That's crazy. Yeah.
not the very end. So you want to be a hustler, not
Yeah.
gangster, and the kids singing it, but it's got this piano loop, and it was so obscure. And I love that movie. I watched that movie 8 million times because it was on. We had it on VHS, and when you have a copy in your house, you'd be watching it like a million times. So when I
Absolutely.
heard somebody lift something from that movie, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
That's
my
how
mind.
that's how we all memorized those movies, because
Yeah.
that's all you had. You had like one VHS tape. It's like, guess I'm gonna watch, Transformers the movie again. But
Totally. Totally. So
Bugsy Malone was one of those movies in particular. I wonder if it probably came after like Annie. They were like, oh, you know what? If you
there
did
was some good songs. Like actually, I think who's that little short, ugly motherfucker that wrote every song and every Paul Williams. I think he wrote the music to it. Um, but anyways, to lift that thing, and it wasn't one of his bigger hits, but I love it. It's on
No.
YouTube if anybody's interested to listen to it.
Paul Williams,
Um,
shout out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Paul Williams.
I didn't think that was going to come up with it. I got not a complex beat, but Rick Rubin doing what he does in an old school way, 99 Problems from Jay-Z,
Yeah.
Great.
2003, using that Billy Squire beat, shout out to Billy Squire. And the guitar riff, that's just that open chord is from Leslie West, The Mountain, and just putting that together with, Rick was crazy for that one.
Well,
as-
in 2004,
as
in
Jay
2000
told
Crazy
us.
for that one, Rick.
that was 2004, and it took you back to 1986 Def Jam all over again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you're
Yeah, and
17 listening to that, you're like, what is this? But if you're like 27 or 37, you're like, oh man, that's awesome. Rick
And
is,
I'll never forget Kid Rock doing that live with him somewhere. I forget, like maybe it was like
oh
MTV.
boy.
I really didn't need to know that ever happened.
Oh,
Thanks a lot.
it happened. He played the cop in the
Yeah.
song too. It was great.
I mean, it also at the same time it makes perfect sense. But all right, I'm going to stay with Jay-Z. I got Girls, Girls, Girls,
Very
2001. Just it's from the Blueprint made by Just Blaze to put Q-Tip, Biz, and Slick Rick. Not, I know we're going by beat, but just to add them for the choruses, some of one of the best unique voices in hip hop history. It's just got such a smooth, fun, playful thing, to it, and it coincides with the lyrics perfectly. What else we got here? I got De La Soul, Much More from the Grind Date, Jay Dilla track. That
great stuff on there.
So much good stuff, and that track really slipped by me until I think I seen them perform it on Chappelle's show. They were on a tour bus.
Oh
They had
yeah,
Yummy there singing the
he
hook.
had
The one guy had
the Hulk
Incredible
hands.
Hulk.
Yeah.
and I was like, God damn! When hearing them, because it's not a straight like 4-on-4. It's got like a little different beat to it and stuff. And seeing them perform it live, that was one of my favorite Chappelle show music moments. Besides the Beastie Boys doing the new style, that's my other favorite one. But anyway, I digress. I got Lackalicious, Make You Feel That Way, 2002.
Blazing
Done
Arrows.
by Chief Excel. Yeah, kind of a wholesome record, a real throwback. Again, fitting with the lyrics. He's talking about Christmas Day and his new bicycle, and it's reminiscent about your first tape. And it's got a real whimsical, like laid back, nostalgic feel to it. That works. I got Buck 50, Ghostface, which liberally samples Hard Times by Baby Huey. That original track actually was used in the intro to Fear City as well on Netflix. I don't know. That's the
Yep.
first time I heard the original and I was like, oh shit, that's
Yeah.
I love when I hear like an
You're
original
right.
version of
Yeah,
something and
that's
my
great.
mind's blown. Like, oh shit, I gotta know who did that and write it down. And love that. That's 2000 Supreme Clientele just making the cut in there. I got Eric Sermon music.
Hell yeah,
Um,
that's a good
That's a
one.
good one.
you totally smooth, ultra smooth. Marvin Gaye used perfectly. Like it was done so perfectly. You would have thought like Marvin and Eric were in the studio together. Like it flows. Um, did I get all mine? I think that. Oh, and Common, The Sixth Sense,
Yeah.
done by
Perfect.
DJ Premier, like Water for Chocolate album. Um, Beautiful sample of the Intruders. The song's called Memories Are Here to Stay, and Premier cutting a Mob Deep hook is the chorus that I want on every track. It's just it always works. It's a perfect formula. Um, Yeah, and that's it. And the only other one that, oh, no, I'm sorry. I got one I want to shout out because Joe's list was so impressive and he was mixing in some like R&B singers, not a hip hop artist, but Gwen Stefani, Hollaback Girl. I forgot to even think about that, but I loved using how Pharrell used that marching band on that track. I just got to shout that out. And my last one is Nori, Nothing,
Oh,
2002, done by the
amazing.
Neptunes. It's got that Arabian feel to it. Great hook. I love this song because when I was spinning, this song was like perfect for like 11 o'clock, like 10 to 11. You were just playing whatever, setting the table. 11 o'clock, people are ready for like a dance floor and club. It's got like something for girls that they like, but it's kind of thuggish too for the dudes. It's the kind of song you want to walk into a club and it was on in the background. It was like that kind of song.
I just
And
want to shout out the guy in the video who says Tatalicious. Anyone know that?
Tatalicious.
Tatalicious, best.
Tatalicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forgot about that shit. But Nori's a
Tatalicious.
perfect example of these lists for me because Nori, there's a couple of my favorite hip hop songs of all time happen to be Nori songs, but it has nothing to do
With
with the
him.
fact that Nori was on it. It was just the beats were so good,
Like banned from
Like
television. Like you're like, damn,
yeah,
like that kills.
Can't
Uh
believe I
100%.
forgot Nori songs. That's crazy.
Super
so
Thug, right?
Super
um
Thug's another one. It has nothing to do with him. The one he did with it was on my '90s list, Invincible with
yeah, oh yeah,
Conan
yeah.
Noriega.
Yeah.
It just happened. He's like this. He's like Forrest Gump. He just happens to be there, like on these
I just
banging
remember
tracks.
quick on Nori that this is late '90s, so it wouldn't have been on this list. But Super Thug, he starts out, or the intro is like he's looking for Manuel Noriega in the Philippines,
Yeah, he
and
does say
so
that.
all my friends who are Filipino, they were like, "Yo, it's like almost like the Foxy Brown half Filipino thing. Like, is she? Is he down with the culture?" And I'm like, dude, it's just no, take it
No.
easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, take
Yeah,
it easy.
Nori like likes to repeat himself a lot too, like on all his tracks. He like say the
Yeah.
same line like multiple times in a row. It's bizarre. But talk,
One.
I mean, listen, Pharrell had a sound for that guy, and it clicked. It worked.
Yeah,
He's the reason that
Yeah.
guy had
Cla-
something.
claiming for the culture is funny because yesterday we went to go see my friend's band. Shout out to the Ice Cold Killers, and I told Karen she was talking about the drummer, and I was like, "He's Colombian, you
Oh,
know."
Joe.
Yeah, Joe Garces.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah. So I'm always like, he's Colombian, you know. You got to claim people sometimes for the culture.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
and she's like, I don't give a fuck. All right, so my honorables real quick. Some rapidy rap here for Josh and some other normal stuff.
Gag.
Cage, Ballad of Worms. So this was something that was released on an Eastern Conference compilation. What makes this super unique is that the production was lifted. It's basically a Built to Spill song. And the hook is, I can't get that sound you make out of my head. It's very good. It's called Ballad of Worms. I'm gonna make a playlist of all this stuff because as I'm looking at these songs, it's a fucking pretty killer playlist, if I may say so. Aesop Rock put out an EP. The song Getaway Car is on there. It's just boombastic drums. I'm pretty sure LP probably did it. Atmosphere. I went to this record release for them in 2002 at the Knitting Factory in New York for God Loves Ugly. I'm a sucker for a hip hop beat that has like a minor key piano playing. Any like minor key that just like has that beat behind it, and that's one of them. So I know Josh loves Atmosphere, so shout out to them.
Oh yeah.
This is probably on somebody's list, but Nas Made You Look was very big for me.
Yeah.
Anytime you go somewhere, at a party, a bar, a club, and then that fucking Made You Look beat dropped, it was a good time.
That was the
LP
first track of Nas that like I gave a fuck about in a long time.
In a
when
long
they-
time,
when
yeah.
they dropped that. Yeah.
LP, now from Run the Jewels, but he made a record. And there's a song on it called Up All Night. It's just quintessential LP stuff. Hard hitting drums with like really weird like phasers and like a bunch of weird shit on there. There's a group called Living Legends, which has Merce and a few other guys, all from California. They sampled it's called Rabbit Hole. They sampled what is that? If you go chasing rabbits,
Oh wait, Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
Jefferson, yeah, exactly. Yo, that shit is so good. I put it in the thread. I know. Dead Prez Hip Hop. I'm sure you guys maybe have it in the
Yeah.
top 10.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. I have to interject. I
Yeah.
have to interject. This was the one that I brought up to you. That song was released in 1999.
Oh, that's the one,
Yes, sir.
but it made
The
it
album was 2000.
Yeah.
That song was technically released in March of 99.
Okay. Well, then
So that was actually in my top 10 originally. And I took it out and I made myself feel better about taking it out by justifying it, saying that it didn't follow the rules. I agree with you, but it's 1999.
technically.
We're gonna have to go to the judges.
Yeah.
Joe?
Technically.
Joe, what do you rule?
can.
Okay, so
I'll stand by Joe's ruling.
I would say that if you were still rocking it in 2000 somehow, because it's
Oh.
fairly recent.
Dave Chappelle
Which
made
this-
sure that it was being rocked
Exactly.
for years.
Yeah. So it was it's 2000 Jace, right?
I think 1999 was the
Well, it
the
dropped on the
Korean-
album.
the Japanese release. I don't think it hit the states till
Right.
2000.
It was the
maybe.
white label.
Wait.
It didn't hit Long Island until 2000, so we're gonna.
Yeah, I mean that beats in. Like I said, that was like in my top 10 for sure. It's probably
Great
my
song.
top 5.
So
all right,
original.
So I got my last 5 here. My buddy Joe Roach was a producer and he worked with Afu Ra. So he produced a song called World Went Through Cities, which if you don't remember it, I mean, it's fucking a huge song. I know once you guys listen to it, you'll like, I fucking remember that song. So shout out to my buddy Joe Roach. Let's see. Game Had Dreams. Love it or hate
Album.
but love it or hate it is great. But if I had to pick, like, man, that sample, I don't know, Dreams is just killer, man. Like everything about it, like just the sample to like the beat, killer. The Roots, 75 bars, from Rising Down. Rising Down. I think it was Rising.
Yeah, it was
Down.
Rising Down. That was the only Roots album I think in that. Well, I don't know. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
yeah, no. So Game Theory and Rising Down, like man,
Game Theory. Yeah,
they
you're right.
really had like 06 to 07, 08, man, Roots were killing it. The last two, I have The Streets from the UK. One of my favorite songs, it's not really like a known song, but Sharp Darts. Like if you hear it, it has this bounce to it. It almost feels like an old DJ Muggs beat. And last, my boy Mark Ronson, man. So I picked 2 of his songs. He has an album called Here Comes the Fuzz, and it came out in 2003 that has Ghostface Killah and Nate Dogg on it. But
Mhm.
it's the beginning of what you see this guy could do. Like he was just such an amazing producer. And then he has a song he produced for a guy named Wiley, who is a UK MC. The song's called Money in My Pockets. And when that thing dropped in like the 2000s, I would listen to that shit on repeat. Never listened to any of the other songs that dude put out, but like that song in particular was the shit. So, all right, let's do it. Top 10 after a lot of talking. So Joe, let's do number 10.
One thing before we start is that like Sam, you were mentioning some of the lists on your honorables. Like what I like is that like, okay, so I was like super commercial and like MTV Raps and and Hot 97, and then you're the opposite end of the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
With the digging in the crates and obscure, like, hey, you may not know this. So I know I have friends listening to the podcast who are gonna be like, I don't know that either. Let me go
Oh yeah.
YouTube it.
I probably heard of like 2 of those songs. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you.
But that's the good thing. But that's the good thing about the spectrum, the range, you know. So, you know, there could be somebody who's all into the underground who's like,
spectrum,
what?
so it's, no.
Yeah.
We'll all
So-
throw
so-
up some playlists when
Yeah,
this,
for sure. So we
yes,
we all
yes.
have technically 20 songs. Like that's
Right.
what we're all mentioning. So we'll all make individual playlists because it's fun because then people could listen to these. I think killer playlists just by looking at it. If I may blow myself here. So all right, number 10.
Okay, number 10, counting backwards. It's "Work It" by Missy Elliott.
Sure.
One More Time, Timbaland.
Mhm.
I was really caught between "Get Your Freak On," this, and even "1 Minute Man," right? Because Timbaland was in such a groove on making
Mhm.
earworms, right? But this one, because it's, you know, they're all awesome, but this one has that rhythmic staccato, you know, rat-ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, you know, it just kind of works with the beat. And even though that's the vocals, but it's like that's a beat that she's saying, you know, but don't. Very rhythmic. And
Very
then the
rhythmic.
whole like lines in reverse, you know, is your, you know, really original. Like, no one was doing that for the chorus, much less. And then the big like cheat code is lifting another beat, because at the end of the song when she yells "ladies," Timbaland breaks into Run DMC's Peter Piper, and you're like, whoa, I didn't expect that. So you get like a beat and then a little piece of a legendary beat, right? So that's what I meant by the producer puts in little things like that. And you're
Mhm.
just like, wow, that's pretty cool. So yeah, "Work It" by
Yeah.
Missy. Yeah.
Yo, that's a great pick. Like that's a pick that I would not have thought of, but like that's one of my girlfriend's like favorite songs. So like she'll play like the Missy stuff, and when that song comes on in particular, it's really good. And like you said, the Run DMC drop, because a lot of times, you know, it's just about showing off the influence too. It's like an Easter egg. It's like, hey man, it's like this goes here, and you know that it's like they're from the South, but you know, like everything is just so joined together.
Yeah.
As far as like the hip hop flag goes, but that's a really good one. And the Rumpa Pom Pom, like she killed that song.
That shit was a banger. That was
Yeah.
one of my. I had like track certain songs if I was playing the DJ, and I just experimented with some shit, and I lost the room. That's like a track that you can put on, and you
Bring 'em
would put
back.
on, and
Yeah.
everything's good. It was like the break glass in case of emergency.
Yeah.
Like there was you had like 5 or 6 of those if you were fucking around with these
Lit-
idiots too much, and like they couldn't understand that shit in the club, like mentioned before. It was like in your holster.
Yeah, there when that Man of War song doesn't hit quite like you thought it would. So, all right, Josh, number 10.
All right, so I just want to also piggyback off of Joe and say that this morning in the group chat, he mentioned Timberland, and I realized I didn't have a Timberland beat, which is so ridiculous. Like that's absurd to not have Timberland on a list of beats from 2000 to 2009. That's ridiculous. So I immediately changed some stuff on my list. That said, number 10 is "Dirt Off Your Shoulder." Even just when he plays that beat from the what's it called, Fade to Black. Have you seen the Jay-Z documentary Fade to Black?
Mhm.
When Jay-Z is sitting with Timbaland and he's playing him beats, it is unbelievable. And it ends with "Dirt on Your Shoulder," which he just starts like they go through all these beats, and Jay-Z's like, yeah, this one's good, but he's not really responding to anything, saying like, yeah, that's the one. And he was like, come on, man, you know, I need the bounce or whatever. And he's like, all right. And then it starts, he's like, and he stops it. And Jay-Z's like, he's like, you know, like freaking out. And then he plays the thing, and like Timbaland's like dancing, and like he's like eating bananas and like drinking gallons of Kool-Aid. Like it's amazing. Just that scene alone is so iconic. So that's the one that it's so good. I'm telling you, it's probably on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll
I
look
remember
after
it,
we're
yeah.
done. Yeah, it was great. So "Dirt Off Your Shoulder," produced by Timbaland. 9 is "Miss Jackson" by Outkast, produced by the Dungeon Family.
We're only doing 10.
So yeah.
Oh, I'm
you
just kidding.
You spoiled
Sorry.
it.
Oh, what's that?
I
This
don't-
guy's got someone to go. He's like, I'm just
All
gonna
right,
read.
Yeah,
now we know what 9 is.
we're
we'll
gonna
cut that out. Cut
we're
it
gonna
out.
we're gonna flip it in reverse like Missy. Say it backwards.
Yeah.
Langan, number 10.
My number 10 is Jurassic 5, The
Oh
Influence.
yeah.
Um,
Forgot about
done
Jurassic.
by DJ Newmark, I believe.
Yeah.
This I love this song because I love when with hip hop with they'll go the movement when they went into jazz heavy, Tribe Called Quest and stuff, and really took like roots of like black music, black culture, and repackaged it into this. So to take like a doo-wop, which is something you never really heard anybody fuck with, and put it as your chorus, and even has I think a Glenn Miller sample in it too, which going back even further. But and
Yo, shout out to Glenn Miller.
shout out to Glenn Miller,
In the mood.
Lily White, that guy. It's and the drums are so crisp on it. They're like the snare. It's just got such a crisp, and it works so well with them. That's my number 10.
Cool. All right, number 10 is something that is going to be so unbelievably obscure that
Josh is gonna faint. No, I'm just kidding.
So number 10 is a project that MF Doom did that took me forever to find. It's called King Ghidorah. So I remember hearing about this album forever, and one day I found it at Kim's Video. Just looking through, whenever I would go to Kim's Video in the city, like I would spend 3 hours there, just like one by one flipping through things with my finger until like my back hurt.
What a great stuff.
So King Ghidorah, and the song is Phasers, very simple, produced by MF Doom, but like it's just so good. Like it's an opening track too, and it's just like there's the simplicity of it, but it's just the flow, and it's hypnotic, really. The stuff that he uses. And that's about it. You guys don't know the King Ghidorah record. I think I took a left on that one.
Streaming? Can we stream it after this show?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot of really good beats on that record too. So
Yeah,
but
I need you to
produced by
spell
MF
that for us. I need you to spell that for us too.
Oh yeah. Well, so the original, like, King Ghidorah is like a Godzilla type reference, but that one spelled Gid. The MF Doom one is Gee. So
Oh, okay.
differentiate. But so Joe, number 9.
Number 9 is Bouncing Back from 2001, Mystical.
Wow, Neptunes.
My first Neptunes selection of the top 10. Oddly enough, I think it was his only song that was nominated for a Grammy. And I'm pretty sure that had a lot to do with the beat. And fun fact, that year it lost to Nelly's Hot in Here, which was also a Neptunes beat. So they were going to win either way.
Right.
The odds were stacked in their favor. But Bouncing Back's got this, I think Langan mentioned like the horns or the swing. It's got like a swing to it, big band kind of swing with like even like a saxophone solo, which is not what you were hearing in like the early 2000s. So leave it to the Neptunes to like just come up with like, Chad and Pharrell to like just come up with something that's totally fit, or not fit, but because they work with Mystical a lot. But they gave him like songs that it didn't sound like the beats they gave Jay-Z, or NSYNC, So that's what I liked about the Neptunes. They could like find your identity.
Yeah,
with with their beats.
They were game changers for sure. I wasn't that big of a fan, but that lap dance song I really like. It was very iconic.
Hell
So
yeah.
good.
I
So
was
good.
just like that's a club banger. You like,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So cool. So number 9, I didn't even hear what you said before, Josh. What was it?
First, I'm going to piggyback and say that the Neptunes are my favorite of all time. NERD is arguably my favorite musical group of all time. But that's another conversation. So there's a lot of
going into that, like if you could pick one of their beats to rap on, like if you like before anyone
Funny
took
you
it.
should ask.
Yeah.
Funny you should ask, because I made an entire mixtape in 2006 of me over Neptunes beats.
Okay.
Literally called What's His Name versus the Neptunes, Star Wars.
Where's that
Wow.
at?
This is in your this was in your
It's
book,
on,
wasn't it?
It's yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I broke it down in one chapter of the audio book, where I basically did like a snippet tape, essentially. Like I just did snippets of literally every song. But I think the whole thing is on Dat Piff
Oh, Dat
If you go
Piff.
to Dat
yeah, yeah.
Piff and search me, I think I put the Star Wars.
Well, find the link and then we'll add it to the episode.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's super old. I mean, nothing I did 20 years ago is, whatever. It
We
doesn't
get
matter,
it.
but it's old.
Talking
But
about
anyway,
Can I ask if you
yes,
was one of the selections Girlfriend by NSYNC
yes.
remix?
No,
Dope.
no. However, I did a radio drop for Girlfriend. Swear to God. For 102 Jams in Greensboro, North Carolina.
There you go. That's
I
a
did
great beat.
a intro. I did that, and I did what was the other one? It was two like boy band Neptunes one. I gotta think of. Oh, it was You Don't Have to Call, Usher.
Usher. Yeah.
Also Neptunes. I used those for radio, basically like like an intro to the mix show.
Yeah.
For sure. I love those. I'm like crazy Neptunes. Like I'm like the biggest. I'm like a super stan. Anyway, the next selection is not Neptunes though, but it is. There'll be more. Trust me. Miss Jackson by Outkast, Dungeon Family. They deserve to be on this list. Damn it. So
yeah, very cool.
That's all I gotta say about that.
What are we up to? Lang at number 9.
Yeah. So this album came out after he passed, but technically it was released in 2000. I got a preface. Big L and Fat Joe, The Enemy from the Big Picture record.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
know
one.
it was recorded before that, but whatever. But that's when it was on my radar. And I don't. Digging in the Crates crew did it. I don't know if Lord Finesse or Premier or who actually handled the track. I know Premier did the cuts though, because those are outstanding. And one of these things, like we were talking before earlier, how these eras of guys of hip hop. I mean, just how awesome is Primo? Primo's got a solid seat in every decade, still making hot shit. You just posted something he did for Macklemore the other day.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fucking
that's
great.
why he's my favorite of all time. The guy's it just turns out shit, amazing shit. Probably this song and the song he does with Big Pun, the cover of Deep Cover, probably the only two songs I actually like Fat Joe on. But I love the track itself. Takes this Gordon Parks sample from Storm to Calm is the track, but just this high pitched whine over a hard dark beat, and the high pitched sample that they use, it almost sounds like a police siren while these guys weave this tale of crime and shit. And Big L, maybe the best that ever did it. Just a perfect song.
Very cool. Yeah, I actually listened to that song today, coincidentally, because I was like, making my final list there. 9 is an album that once again, most people never heard. But I'm telling you this, when Cannibal Ox released The Cold Vein, produced by LP, it was really fun. It sounded like Blade Runner to me. It was just this really weird futuristic thing. And the song Iron Galaxy is like almost like a close to 6-minute hip hop song. And it's just like this picture of like New York. It's almost like a New York State of Mind, kind of just like an indie hip hop version of it. And it's a song that really just stuck with me. And the production is just so fucking great, man. So this is another
that record
track.
Still holds up so well.
Yeah. I had we had Vast Air on like last year talking about this, maybe 20-year anniversary. I don't remember. Oh, maybe it was 2 years ago. Shit. Damn, I guess it is 2023, whatever that means. Okay, so number 8, Joe.
Number 8 is All Caps by Madvillain, aka Madlib and MF Doom. Rest in peace. Produced by Madlib. The thing that got me about this beat is the sampling of really, really obscure TV themes. I know like Doom, they find beats like anywhere, and you're just like, I got to go to Who Sampled to find out where this is from, if it's from something. And so All Caps has samples of the Ironside TV show theme and the streets of San Francisco. Not even the theme. It's just like a random scene from a random episode where, like they lead with intro music and then it kind of dies away when the scene gets going. And they made a song out of it. So props to Madlib for that.
It's unreal. Yeah. I mean, I'll talk about it later on. Wink, wink. you know, because I might have it on my list as well. So number 8, Josh.
Number 8 is The Blast by Talib Kweli, produced by High Tech. Beat is incredible. That's one that I don't know. It's like, though, you know, that's kind of more, you know, it was raucous kind of stuff. So it was more underground in a world of very commercial rap. It still found its way through. It was on the radio, like a lot of radio stations would talk over it. So it's just kind of like always there. And to me, that's like, if you really sit down and listen to that beat, like there's just so many different layers and aspects of it. That one was like immediately jumped into my head when we
Yeah,
started this list.
he rode that line pretty well, you know, and also
Yeah.
getting that like Jay-Z cosign.
Yep.
Forget the line, like, you know, of God, I forget the line, but I know he like propped.
If skill sold, truth be told, I'd probably be lyrically Talib Kweli. Truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil. I ain't been rhyming like common sense.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty fucking good, right?
That too.
Jokes.
Yeah, and the flip side to that, I'll always remember Company Flow. When sales control stats, I place no faith in the majority. So the flip. So okay, Langan, number 8.
My number 8 is Flips. When the Last Time. That's my favorite Neptunes beat, probably. I think of all time. I do love Grinding is a song that you hear, you see a lot in these lists, and Grinding is a badass beat. But I mean, I can't even describe the sound that they use. You know the sound I'm talking about.
It's like spastic.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
a
hyperactive.
spastic shrill
Yeah.
kind of thing, but it works with like this grimy lyrics that these guys are putting out about hustling down in Virginia, I think they were from.
Yeah.
But yeah, When the Last Time.
But then
Banger.
there's that little not acoustic, but the little guitar riff that goes on
The
throughout the whole
guitar
song.
riff is beautiful. Yeah, like an
all
acoustic
throughout.
guitar riff.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah, so it's got a you know, a natural kind of warmth to it mixed with this shrill sound to it, but
Yeah.
you know, Neptunes make it work.
All right, my number 8 is nonfiction, Black Helicopters. Man, growing up around this time when I discovered nonfiction, it was like discovering the Pixies of hip hop. You know, they were like just, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is, to me, I'm like, these guys were so much better than what I thought was going on top. And I couldn't understand how it didn't translate. But then you listen to the lyrics and, you know, like conspiracy and government stuff. And like, now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, I get it now, you know? And so they're doing a reunion show at Brooklyn Monarch, and I will be there April 15th. Oh, no, is it?
Nice.
No, the 14th. And shout out to our buddy, fucking Lord Goat, aka Gore-Tex, aka Mitch, who's always on the show, one of the non-fiction members. Black Helicopters is just great, just produced by Necro. Very unique. It has like this like Middle Eastern like riff to it with the beat and, you know, the lyrics to go, and you know, the Voivod album cover to match it. So home run. I know
Lord Goat, who likes even less Sammy Hagar songs than Langan.
Yeah. I'm just laughing because I'm like looking at my list. But you know, like I said, I really, if I was going to be true to myself as to what was really moving like me mentally, these were the songs, man, you know. So I'm glad I could you know, talk some shit on them. So number 7, Joe.
7 is from 2004. Is That Your Chick? Memphis Bleak, Jay-Z, Twista, Missy. Back to Timbaland. He's gonna get tired of standing up in my list. Great beat, typical Timba, but it's kind of like there's really one thing at play, which is a synthesizer, and the low end plays that beat for him, like dun, 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 dun. And then the same synthesizer higher up in the key is doing the little like it's I could do that right now with my little Casio if I could. But it's so simple, yet it's so good for all the different kinds of styles that are about to go over it, you know. So I don't, there's really not much more to say. That's one of my favorite beats, you know. And then the okay, what's up? Shut up. I still
That's
say
so
that to
good.
this day, you know.
Very cool. Moving on. Josh, number 7.
Number 7 is one that I'm confident that none of you are going to have on your list, but I think is one of the greatest hip hop beats of all time. And I am not a Dilla crazed maniac like most people. Anyway, that said, Climax by Slum Village, produced by Dilla, is so good. And honestly, I've never even cared about the lyrics of that song. Like I know some of them. Usually I can memorize lyrics really fast, just accidentally. But like this one, I don't even care what they're saying because the beat is just like, it's just like traveling on a spaceship through like stars, probably on drugs. And I didn't do a lot of drugs as a kid. I have to imagine that would intensify the experience. But there's just, it's so good. It's like probably my favorite Dilla beat of all time, except for maybe some of the Far Side stuff. But yeah, that's my 7.
It's never too late to start doing drugs. Just want to throw that out there. There's
That's the
that
spirit.
There's that scene in Little Miss Sunshine where like Alan Arkin, you know, he's the grandfather and he's like talking to the kid and he's like, listen, he's like, you got to be crazy at your age to start doing heroin. And he's like, and you got to be crazy at my age to not do heroin. Because he was like 70. He was like 70, and like I don't know, that just made sense to me. I was like, oh, maybe he's got a point. I don't know. You know. Listen, 20 plus years sober, relax. Number
Right on.
number 7, Langan.
I got Mobb Deep, Got It Twisted, 2004 single. Now, Mobb Deep, their album era for me is kind of like over. After Murder Music, I really liked. I think it's kind of an underrated record, but after that, it was kind of they put out a track here and there, and this is one of them. And a perfect done by the Alchemist. It's a perfect example of why I love sampling because they take Thomas Dolby of Blinding Me with Science track and just take that keyboard riff from the chorus, which is that's a kind of upbeat track or whatever. And in Mobb Deep's hand and the Alchemist's hand, it's like completely sinister, like kind of like gothic sounding, if that was if you could use that term in like a hip hop track. But the complete repurposing of just a short phrase. I mean, it's sampling at sampling's best into something totally dark. And it's kind of like as close to Mobb Deep gets as like to a club song, except for like Quiet Storm or some shit. But I love that song.
Very cool. Number 7. So I don't even remember how I got into Chaos. I posted the video. I know Josh made a comment. So Chaos is like a Canadian rapper. Geez. So he put out 2 records that I really liked, but the one after this one that I'm about to talk about is the best. Like it just, I saw him play, and he was like a Canadian Wyclef. Just, I almost feel like he was better than Wyclef. Kind of like there's some like really like cool songs on. There's a record called
I thought Snow was the Canadian Wyclef.
Yeah. All right. So he's definitely like somewhere underneath Snow. But man, so he has a song called the Superstar Part 0, because I think there's like another version of Superstar on this record. But it was just everything that I liked. It was like an immediate, even like what you said, Josh, like I don't even care what the lyrics were. That's how I felt about this, because the beat was just so, I mean,
it's hot music.
I didn't, yeah, for sure. Like it made you want to break dance, which I've never done in my life, but it had that type of like feel to it. And this record was great, but the one after was the one. And then there was another one like where he started going more into like an indie rock universe, which was interesting. So he would tour with bands like Metric and stuff like that. But very creative guy, really good rapper, great singer. He could really do everything. But this was a pure hip hop song, Superstar Part 0. So that is my number 7, bringing the Canadians into the mix here. Number 6, Joe?
I actually thought that Wyclef was the Haitian snow
You know what? That's it.
because chronologically Snow came first, right?
That's why you're the judge here.
Are
The
we
voice of
uh
reason.
are we at 6, 7?
Yes, 6.
It's Oh No by Mos Def, Pharoah Monch, Nate
Great.
Dogg, produced by Rockweiler from the legendary Raucous Records Lyricist Lounge 2, which I think I had on cassette.
Yeah.
You know, and I never bridged the gap to get the CD from my car because it turned to streaming and it's on my phone now. But that album is ridiculous. And the thing I liked about Oh No is that you get styles going over the beat, but the music is just so laid back. You know, it's just a 4/4 beat. Well, like I think that's like a banjo or sitar that he's playing or that's being sampled. And it's just like we said earlier, you could just take the lyrics, take the Mos Def and Pharoah parts out, and just like this is just a great groove, you know.
That had to be part 3.
What? Lyricist Lounge?
Oh,
Sound bombing.
lyric-
I mean,
Wait, did you say sound
The
bomb?
first
Sound
lyricist,
I think
Oh.
it was sound bombing.
the second sound bomb.
Check the Google machine. Hold on.
Yeah.
There you go.
Jamie, look that up.
Jamie's looking it up.
Yeah.
Jamie or Nadav.
Oh, most. Yeah, I listened to both of those.
Hell yeah.
This is from.
Was it you said sound bombing,
Oh,
right?
come on. I think so.
You said Lyricist Lounge.
No, it does say Lyricist Lounge. He said
Oh.
Lyricist Lounge, but I
The
actually
first Lyricist Lounge was in
It's
the
Lyricist
late
Lounge
90s,
too. He
right?
knows what it is.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had
Oh,
the
okay.
cassette in my house for so long, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just totally questioned you. Sorry, my
That's it.
apologies.
Listeners hear how we check our facts here? We
Yeah,
take
right.
this shit serious. There ain't no fucking half stepping.
Listen, better in house than to get some crazy lunatic, messaging me that we got it wrong. So, all right. So that's your number 6. Josh, number 6.
6 is What We Do by Freeway, produced by Just Blaze. Another like hyperactive, just like makes you want to just like run through walls kind of beat. To this day, that one gives me the same kind of feeling. It just gets me like, just like crazed. So yeah, Just Blaze has to be present as well.
You got a year on that for the Freeway because his high point was like 02, right? For
Mm,
Freeway.
I don't, but Google does. Let's see. Let's see.
Sponsored by Google.
Fact
I'm
check
using
is getting
Ask
tight
Jeeves,
here in
actually.
the top 10.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm using Ask Jeeves. It's going really slow.
Ask Jeeves.
2003,
Okay, yeah, that was his kind of his moment in the sun, 02 and
Yeah.
03.
Philadelphia
That was it.
Freeway.
All right. So then we're up to number 6, Lane.
My number 6 was a song I hadn't thought about in years, but it fucked with it heavy when it came out. And I was watching a documentary on Tom Segura and 2 other comedians going to Thailand to do a tour, and they used this as a music bed. And then all of a sudden, like my brain neurons fired, like, oh my God, what the fuck was that song? Couldn't remember. And thanks to Joe here, pointing me in the right direction. Nas, Find Your Wealth from QB's Finest album.
Hmm.
Oh wow, I remember that.
I don't
album.
remember. I don't remember the song.
See, I knew I had it on CD.
Yeah,
but,
my
like,
brother
it was
had it.
really only this song, and then it just kind of, forgot about it.
Was the Bridge Part 2 on that too? On QB's
Yes.
Finest? Yeah, I remember
Yes.
that. I had that CD.
And maybe it was Uchiwali. Was that them on
Yeah.
that shit?
Yeah.
Too? I mean, that song was clowny as fuck. I refused to even like play it. I did not like that whatsoever. But this song in particular, get back to this song. It's got this Brian Bennett Solstice is who they sample it from. If you know this song, I won't be able to verbally describe the sample, but it completely makes it. It's got a beautiful bass line, and the song's back in my rotation now, thanks to Joe telling me what the fuck it was.
Yeah, I remember my brother had that CD because it was like a medallion, if I remember on the cover.
Yes, but this song is a gem.
And Segura, he's legit, man. He knows.
I
his
love
shit.
that guy.
He
man.
knows his shit. Him and like Russell Peters, those are like 2
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
podcast comedian guys that like
Yep.
They
You
know.
seen
They're
the
both-
Czarface video with Segura?
Yeah.
And they said it in your mom's house studios,
Yep.
and he's dressed all fucking yeah. It's he's a real one.
Did you ever hear Tom Segura's Big Daddy Kane story?
Yes,
It's amazing.
yeah.
I don't
If you
remember.
I don't
haven't,
want to mess
YouTube
it
it.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it ends in basically, he loved Big Daddy Kane as a kid, and then like he had this one opportunity to meet Kane for the first time. They're friends now, but the first time he met him, he said basically like he doesn't know what came over him, but like he saw Kane and he goes, "Sup, Kane?"
Ah.
he yelled it though.
I said
He
that.
yelled it in a crowd. He's like,
Yeah, he goes, "Sup, Kane?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't know what came over me."
Yeah.
Shout out to Big Daddy Kane, always.
That's it. All up in Josh's podcast story for sure.
In my life.
Up in your life.
And in Paul Simon's music video.
Which one?
Wow.
I
"You
did
could be my
the
bodyguard."
no, he
But that was Chevy Chase.
did
Me and Julio.
yeah, he did me and Julio down by the schoolyard with Bismarck, the intro to that video. Go YouTube it
my
if you
God,
want.
they're just like rapping.
Yeah, they're freestyling.
Holy
Just
crap! I forgot about that.
Nice one.
Yeah, nice. All right, so my number 6 before we get to our
Yeah.
top 5, it's a record under the name Quasimodo, which is Madlib's like alter ego. It's kind of like, the Humpty Hump thing. Like, so when you
Yeah.
listen to it, it's like he changes his voice. He's a super interesting guy, amazing beat maker. But so this is called Microphone Mathematics, and it was up on this like Beat Junkie CD that I had, and it was like maybe the second song after the intro. And man, you want to talk about just one of those beats? It's like the pure DNA, like the vitamins and nutrients of what hip hop is. That's what this beat is. And like, I'll never forget hearing it on, I think it was like Beat Junkies Volume 3. DJ, I forget which one of them did it. But killer, man. Quasimodo, Microphone Mathematics. And that brings us to top 5. So, and to be honest with you, all these songs, and I'm sure with everyone else, like they're very interchangeable. Like the numbers are just so pointless for something
Yeah.
like this, because it just, it doesn't even matter, because all these songs are tied for number 1, if you ask me. So
yeah, they'll always hold a special place in our
That's
hip hop
it.
hearts.
Let's do number 5, man. Let's go, Joe.
Number 5, We Gonna Make It. Jadakiss,
Oh, that's good.
producer, The Alchemist, from when the Locks kind of did they really break off solo, because Styles P is on this anyway, but from Kiss the Game Goodbye. And it just, so the one thing about this is where Who Sampled is just so valuable to like nerds who are into this sort of thing, right? The break for the whole song, the bass line for the whole song is this little tiny 10-second break from a musician who I hadn't known or heard of since before Who Sampled told me, but Samuel Jonathan Johnson. And the track is My Music, if anybody wants to, if they're fans of We Gonna Make It. Just go look at the second section that they tell you to look at, and you'll be like, wow, that is We Gonna Make It. That's the song. And for Alchemist to just find that, digging in the crates, is just, fuck the small shit, right?
Yeah,
That's just like what that's
Fuck the
really is
frail
literally.
shit.
Yeah, right. Sorry, frail shit. Yeah.
It's amazing, like the journey he's been on from like that Hooligans group that him and Scott Kahn did,
my
to
God.
like, it's just whenever those guys, Alchemist or like Evidence, like these guys that all kind of grew up in that like section adjacent to like the Soul Assassins, they all like came up like attached to like, the Muggs crew. Man, just what careers those guys had, and like what lifelong hip hop fans they are, especially
Shout out-
Alchemist.
Shout out to Scott Kahn. And I didn't think you were going to mention this, but Red River podcast poster Chris Cage and I were just talking about Scott Kahn and his pre-acting career.
Yeah.
So if when he listens to this, he's going to like that
Yeah,
Scott
cool.
Kahn was dropped.
Shout out to Chris G, right?
Chris G. Cage, yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, so top 5. Let's go, Josh.
Number 5, What You Know About That by T.I. produced by DJ Toomp. I admittedly, though I'm from the South, was never a big Southern guy. And for me, again, going back into the psychology of it, this was the era where the South was really starting to really rise in hip hop, like to prominence. And I was always a very like New York influenced really person, because like my whole family's from New York, and like the speaking voice that I have now is basically the speaking voice I had, when I lived in Durham, North Carolina for the first, 25 years of my life or whatever. Everybody was like, "Oh, you sound like you're from New York," which I don't, but to a Southerner, I don't have a Southern accent. You know what I mean? So at this point, I'm trying to be a rapper, and I'm trying to get signed to a major label. And basically anyone who gives me any advice is kind of like, "You're from the South, but don't sound like it. You need to play it up." So in this era was like when that was kind of the most intentional thing that I was trying to do, which ultimately just made me feel stupid. But, songs like this and like a lot of the early Young Jeezy stuff really like stuck with me. I was like, oh man, like this is actually really, really good. Like I don't judge this from like a kind of lower quality Southern perspective. Like this is like really good hip hop music. And T.I. is great. He's a great rapper. But yeah, that was one of my, I would say probably my favorite T.I. beat of all time.
Very cool. Number 5, Langan.
Yeah, I got Jay-Z, Show Me What You Got from the Kingdom Come album.
So good.
The combination of the sample of Shaft in Africa, by I think Quincy Jones, and what was the other, Johnny Pat, whatever the fuck his name, I don't remember. But anyway, it's got a sample from Shaft in Africa, and that classic horn sample you've heard a million times with Lafayette Afro Rock Band, which as important to the history of hip hop as James Brown is. Everybody sampled those guys. But what it makes it stand out for me is it's how many hip hop songs have drum fills. Like not many, you know what I mean? Like
Just
this.
Blaze did that live too. That's
Did
not
it?
a
I
drum
thought it was
machine.
Questlove for some reason. It wasn't.
No, it's Just Blaze. He actually knows how to play the drums. And
Yeah,
I've seen footage of him doing that, like he actually does that.
That's
Oh,
dope.
I love it. It really sets it apart, like from and just to have like some beautiful use of a sample plus live instrumentation. It's hip hop production at its best for me.
Yeah.
But that's my number 5.
All right, so
We got Sam.
I never thought Ghostface Killer made a bad album. Maybe Ghostini was something that I didn't like, but he brought me back with the Pretty Tony album, which kind of like blew me away. Like listening to those songs, Run in particular is my pick at number 5. When I heard Run and then Jadakiss on it and like the stuff Jada got him on that song for sure, 100%. Like the Jada verses are just, I don't even rap, but I could recite them, and RZA, I didn't know RZA made the beat. I was like trying to find some information on it. I think it's uncredited according to Google, but it's just I have a thing for just like that big beat with like distortion, and it sounds, I think it's like the musical equivalent of like listening to like a noisy indie rock band. So maybe that's why like my two sides of the brains work that way. It's, I think I had it listed as probably my favorite of the Wu-Tang songs when we did that list. It was like between this and like Slang Editorial. And another thing, speaking of Slang Editorial, I never realized until I listened to the Pillage, but the hook was from Capadonna, and then Ghost kind of like took it and made a new song out of it. So yeah, my number 5, Run, Ghostface Killer.
2009. That's late in the decade. Because
no, that was the Pretty Tony is 2004.
Oh really?
I think you said Ghostini.
Oh no,
Ghost
Dini. I said that's the one I didn't like.
Oh, okay.
I said I don't think he's really made a bad project. It's just I'm not like when I hear R&B singing, I like tune out. It's like when people talk about Game of Thrones, basically to me. I'm just like, or
I'm like that with
book.
I'm like that with auto tune. As soon as I hear it, I'm out.
Yeah. 100%.
It's not for you, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of 808s and heartbreaks, ironically, but that's a whole different conversation. Go ahead.
Love that guy.
What
Number
do we have?
four.
Four. Okay. So I haven't taken account of who's going to be mentioned more, Timbaland or the Neptunes, but on my lists. But it's Pasta Cavassier Part 2.
That's a
good
good
one.
one.
Busta with Diddy, Pharrell, featured. Neptunes again, and there's just something about if you hear Pasta Cavassier and then you hear the second, Part 2, it's like, wow, what do they have up their sleeve that they couldn't fit it on that one, that they decided to do a remix, or just another Cavassier song. But it's like an acoustic guitar.
Rolling.
Yeah, acoustic guitar, and then Pharrell just starts to just do the hook, and there's a horn riff that's just blaring to the off drum beat. It's just so musically I just picture this is one of the songs where I picture the Neptunes like, what is Chad doing? That Pharrell's like, oh, that sounds good. Do more of this, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
And they come up with a finished product, but what goes into making the behind the scenes. But this beat is just one of my favorite Neptunes beats.
Yeah, very cool. They worked very well together for sure. And the beauty, because I mean, we've all been in the studio. When you have that person that you vibe with and work with and try different things with, can't beat that. So
Yep.
Number 4, Josh.
Exhibit C, J Electronica, produced by Just Blaze. I would be lying.
Man.
Good song.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Thank you. I would be lying if I said that the lyrics didn't influence this for me. That song absolutely blew my mind and still blows my mind to this day. It's
Same.
it's like a perfect rap song to me. It's like exactly what I want to hear. It's real rapping. It's a beat that's like musical and just commercial enough and sounds good and is hard. It's like, from a rapper perspective, like if somebody presented me that beat, like I would faint. Like if somebody gave me a beat that good, like, hey, do you want to make a song of this? I might just die. I don't even know what I would do. I would cry or die
that song would be huge if you cried and
vomit.
died on a song.
Yeah. But I that song really, really knocked me off my ass.
Great pick. It really flew by me. If I remember, that's probably 2009, right? I mean,
I believe so.
I can't believe how long this guy's been around, and his body of work is like smaller than Guns N' Roses.
It basically doesn't exist. It's kind of like Jay-Z had him signed and was like, all right, man, I'll do the album with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right, fine. Give me like 6 verses.
That was pretty good. That was a good album.
Yeah, that was a good album though.
But Exhibit C is so good. And like I remember hearing, because he was talking about Magnolia Projects, right? So like is he from North or South or
where is he from?
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans. Okay, yeah.
There's when New York were jacking Southern.
Yes.
We're calling Southern rappers lame and then jacking our slang.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
you were like, thank you.
Yeah,
but yeah, the verses on that, I mean, great pick. I'm probably gonna listen to that as soon as we're done with this. So
same.
Number 4, Langan.
Sam mentioned before, but I think it was a different track. After Ra.
Yep.
I have Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
The track Master Killer, produced DJ Roach. This is the song I like. This is the best RZA song without it being the RZA. It's like a kung fu, dark, sinister. Sounds like an old kung fu film. It's got I think maybe Master Killer's maybe the second favorite verse that he's ever spit, but it samples multiple shit. A lot from I think Malcolm McLaren's Buffalo Gals, which has been sampled a billion times. But this particular song, man, always stood out to me through the years.
I'm gonna hit up. So like I grew up, like growing up, like Roach, like Joe. Well, like he would like DJ house parties, and we would hang out there. I just hung out with him recently, and I think he's gonna start to get back into music. He was like building a studio. We got to get him on the show. I'll ask him if he'll
do it.
Because he I know that is his big body of work, but I know he was also doing stuff for like Gangstar Guru. Like I'm sure he has some cool stories, but
Oh, yeah.
not to think about it. Shout out to Joe Roach. Number 4 for me. Here's a left turn, but it samples that Big Beat song. Is that
Billy Squad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dizzy Rascal, Fix Up Look
Oh,
Sharp.
hell yeah.
Good
one.
It's so it's just, I mean, just that beat. Like, he's from the UK, so he's got that flow, but everything about it is just like, man, the drums are just so crisp. And he came and went pretty quick. And I feel like I would never have heard of this record, but I think that it was released on Def Jux, if I remember correctly. And it was like his debut. And from there, like, he went, back into UK obscurity, at least for me.
I remember seeing it on that Canadian music channel with it Fuse and then Much Music or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
They were playing it a lot and shit. And
Yeah.
it just had so much swag to it, like this track.
So much, like it was like it's reminiscent to like 99 Problems. Like, it just has that, like, obviously it's the same sample, so it really had that feel to it, which I guess you can't go wrong. I know that beat's been sampled a lot. So all right, so let's do number 3, top 3. Here we go, Joe.
Number 3 from the year 2000. I think Josh mentioned Jay Dilla, but this is my Jay Dilla selection. The Light by Common.
So
good one. That's a good one.
Earworm, because so shout out to Bobby Caldwell, who, number 1,
is white. No.
yeah, exactly. When people hear that the voice is coming out of a white dude, they're like, no way. It's kind of like the Blue-Eyed Soul, but he wasn't a high profile like public figure, so they're like, what? That guy's white. So you go to YouTube and you see him sing. His track "Open Your Eyes" is the hook on that Common song. But not only that, his other notable sample is "What You Won't Do for Love," which is what everybody knows, the mainstream knows. Tupac sampled that in "Do for Love" in 1997. So when you look for like hip hop credibility out of guys who you didn't think would be notable, Bobby Caldwell is up there.
Yeah, that's a good one. And like Water for Chocolate, great record. I think Common's sweet spot for me, and I should have mentioned it, but it was B and Finding Forever, like those two, which I feel like they were both Kanye produced. The Corner is just great.
So good.
And then also he has a song with Lily Allen, random of all things. I forget the name of the song, but it's just got such a great shuffle, great hook. But yeah, The Light, man, that's, as soon as you mention it, I used to work, a lot, like, I guess when that record came out, and this girl like would always sing the hook to that, and it was just such a great, memorable hook. So
did you know the guy that was being sampled was white?
That's it. Yeah, no, yeah. Maybe on the outside, not on the inside.
That's 100%.
So number 3, Josh.
Number 3 is "Boom" by Royce the 5'9", produced by Primo.
Great song.
2001 from, ready for this? Carmen, a hip opera soundtrack.
I forgot that existed.
Beyonce. I know.
Jesus.
We all did.
Yeah. Royce is.
But that is a quintessential hip hop beat.
Man.
I definitely like used that in some shows. Like, I would drop out of my own song and into that one, to get the crowd.
Well,
that's a good one.
When we do 2010 through 2019,
I'm not envying that.
the two Prime records, because Royce did the 2 albums with Premiere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fuck, they're so goddamn good, very underappreciated. So Lange, number 3.
Who did the Bad Meets Evil record? Was that Primo too?
No, so that was Royce.
Because that shit was good.
Yeah, Royce and Eminem, but I don't think it was Primo.
Nah. I remember that shit being in music beds all the time on
Scary
Stretch
Memories.
and Bob. My number 3, I got Talib and High Tech. The Blast was mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the most laid back tracks for me. Just like relaxing sound. The keys are relaxing. The bass line is superior in that song. I mean, just amazing. Even the video complements it well when they're in the rain, they're sitting on the bench or whatever. But and the girl coming in just saying Talib's name, Kweli in the background. It's a perfect symphony for me.
Very cool. Great podcaster now. I mean, obviously gets in a little too many social media fights.
He gets in some nonsense
He
with
gets into some not
people that don't deserve his attention. It's so crazy.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
random Russian guys or something. That's
Yeah.
just like
I'll
He
sometimes
wants to give everybody the
you're
smoke.
you. Like
Yeah.
he's him. Just
yeah,
live life.
I
Forget
pretty
that
much
guy.
I'm thinking like I don't care if some guy in, like I don't know, Utah is racist towards me. Like
Hell no.
I'll never meet this guy. It's cool. He can live his life. So all right, my number 3, Joe mentioned MF Doom, Mad Villain, all caps. A lot of great stuff on this, but all caps, especially the song before it, Supervillain theme is really cool and it leads right into all caps, and it's just like, man, if you're gonna pick a beat from Mad Villain, which is very hard to do, I think there's like 22 songs on it. This is it,
Go and go to Who Sampled when you get a chance to look for the
The
all
TV
caps
shows.
samples. Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, brilliant stuff. I know that Stone's Throw had that really cool. Oh, My Vinyl Weighs a Ton. That was a documentary made on the label Peanut Butter Wolf.
Oh,
Very cool stuff.
Great doc.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's do 2. Joe, number 2.
Okay, this was unavoidable, but since we're on Zoom and I could see Josh's face live and in person, Through the Wire, Kanye
Yeah.
West.
Sure.
Produced by Kanye West.
It's fucking great. It is.
How? I mean,
The
what
first-
can you say?
The first thing, the first single he put out, and it was just I immediately I was like, oh, this is pretty catchy. But I'll
Yeah.
show you.
Mhm.
And it just goes to show you like where it all started, or even before then, like, Josh is mentioning the Little Brother song before he was even at Through the Wire level, which was like Through the Wire was like, who is this dude? This is all over MTV and Hot 97. And then you fast forward to today. It is really unfortunate that music heads, I kind of categorize it as like people who like the attention and what they do now, and then there's people who just want to focus on the music. The artist. It's hard to separate the artist from the person. So it's like I could still rock with Through the Wire, even up to like Late Registration, even Heartless and stuff like that. But then it kind of makes it a little harder when you realize, what's happening today.
Mhm.
Sort of like along the lines of like a Michael Jackson thing or R. Kelly, where you're like, man,
Yeah.
this
I
is
feel like eventually, like it's almost as if the thing, because I tend to separate like the artist from the person,
You have
rather
to.
the music from like the art from the artist, and even like the company from the person, kind of like I just don't get into all that stuff. But I think that inevitably, the stuff that you don't like makes its way into the art, and that's where it starts to mind fuck you,
I think so
because
too.
it's like
yeah.
Kanye was so hungry to make music. And then he was going like this and going like this, and he started working with John Bryan, and like it really got elevated. And then even 808s and Heartbreaks, which a lot of people don't like, I love. I really like Yeezus too, to be honest. But then like once you get to that point, he just drops off. I mean, it's just a mess. He doesn't care. He's not writing it. He's at this point, if you really go and listen to some of his recent stuff, he has songs where he doesn't even write the lyric. Like he literally doesn't write words down, because the way that he does it, if he writes it, he freestyles it.
Well, let's be honest. It's the Lord working through him. So
Okay. But no, I mean, he'll go in there and kind of like just go like, and then he'll fill in the words later. These days, he doesn't even fill in words. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to it and I'm going like, come on, man. Like you had 5 more minutes. Like 5 minutes you sit there. Like I've written rap songs. Like I know how it is. I know you get caught up on stuff. I know you can't think of a word that rhymes. I know the word that you think of is not the one. Like, take 5 more minutes.
Well, he already
Same
knows that
word,
people are gonna
same
like,
minute.
people are gonna fillet it no matter what, right? So
I'm trying to say,
yeah,
his ego creeps in and he goes like, Kanye West. I'll just go din din, and then they'll
Yeah.
be like, "Yo, it's dope. I like that part."
Yeah. Yeah.
It all creeps in. Like R. Kelly gets too weird, Michael Jackson gets too weird. Like it just gets too weird because they don't separate the artist from the person. Like they mesh the two, thinking that that's okay, and then we're all like, "Yeah, I don't know about this."
Yeah, the art, like, so, like, Kanye is just, you know, he's just someone who says dumb shit, like, but when you think of like R. Kelly, like, that was a little bit harder to just be like, I'm like, you guys like pissing on like a 13-year-old. I'm like,
Yeah, it's bad.
maybe then you're just like, but even then, I could still listen to whatever. I mean, somebody could murder my family, and if they have a hot mixtape, more than likely I'm gonna listen to it. It's just how I am. Like,
I'm the same way.
I don't really give a fuck.
Sam still plays "I Believe I Can Fly" in the car. He don't care. He ain't gonna trying to hear it.
Yeah,
That Space Jam
Are you
soundtrack.
kidding
Fucking-
me? I'm watching Trapped in the Closet 1 through 30 as soon as we're done with this.
Quick shout out on while we're on Kanye.
On R. Kelly. Okay.
No, on Kanye. Well, Kanye. Well, either
Quick
one's
shout
pretty
out to R.
bad.
Kelly.
But Josh mentioned 808 and Heartbreaks. Yeah, that's where a lot of people like kind of part ways or like, yeah. But Heartless, which is one of the bigger
Amazing.
songs off of that. Yeah. Shout out to the Fray. If anyone's ever heard their acoustic
Sure.
cover of
Yeah.
Heartless,
Oh no, I never heard that.
it's I'll drop it in the chat.
All right.
It's a good like take on a kind of weird song already, but it was really good for
I
Kanye. I mean,
I didn't think that the Fray was going to get a shout out in this episode, but here we are.
look at that.
Come on, we're talking hip hop early 2000s. It's got to be the Fray.
Where are we? Who's up?
Josh, I think too.
I think it's
number
me
two.
with number 2, which is "Drop It Like It's Hot."
Mm.
Again, totally ridiculous, totally perfect, and just a beat that you can't front on. I mean, it's just so. That's really my favorite thing about the Neptunes. I was actually listening to Rick Rubin has this new book where he talks about creativity. I don't know if you guys know it. I haven't like read it or anything, but he's doing a lot of interviews. So he's being interviewed recently on his own podcast by Malcolm Gladwell. It's a Broken Record podcast. Really good episode. Amazing for to listen to it because it's just, it's like dissecting, riding a bike, basically. It's like you don't really know how you do it. You just do the thing. You've never necessarily thought about how, why, exact, whatever. And that's what his whole book is about. And he said something recently in that interview about initially hear something and you don't like it. It's like it finds its way. Some of those things cross over and become something that you can't live without hearing. And that's how the Neptunes were for me. Because I remember when they started to gain popularity in hip hop. And I remember hearing the sounds and going like, this is not what I want. Like I want boom bap. Like what are these like boo boo? Like what? And then at some point, like something went off and I was like, this is amazing. And then like it just became like I became engulfed with it. I'm telling you, I'm like, I love them more than anything. Like I like them more than Premier, which is crazy. Like, but for me, it's just it encompasses the sound of my brain. It's a bunch of stuff that don't together make sense when together, and that's like me as a person,
And they literally said in that era, "This is the way," and everybody was like, "You're right.
Yeah.
This is the way."
They had the
right?
sound
Right.
of the moment.
They made it cool, you know what I mean? And then later on you get, people like Lupe Fiasco skateboarding. It's like that was acceptable. Well, why was it acceptable? Because the Neptunes go, I don't care.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
And I
can't
love
play
the-
rock
the-
music.
I love
They had a
Nor-
good thing. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I love Nori occasionally still on Drink Champs. Like he loves Pharrell, but he'll throw him a jab every now and then. He's like, yo, he was weird. And I know weird is like the acceptable code word for another word
Yeah.
now. Like
Yeah.
when they say, I don't know, he's like a weirdo rapper. It's like I know what you really want to say.
That was a cool period for Snoop too, because Snoop always has that career trajectory where he was in bed heavy with like either Dre and the Death Row shit, the Master P shit. But like when they what was that other track they had that huge hit, Beautiful
Yeah,
with Pharrell?
So
I
good.
mean, that was a real good pairing. Those two
Yeah.
made sense.
yeah. Snoop really finds a way every single time.
He does.
Yep.
And people will hold his hand down the path. And he'll admit it. But
Oh, yeah.
there will be people holding his hand. I mean, I've actually seen footage, probably on YouTube, of Snoop hearing "Drop It Like It's Hot," Pharrell making it in front of him, and he's going, and then you do something like this: "When the prince in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot," and he's like, "Yeah, that's good." He's like, "When the try to get it, you know, like the whole thing." He's like telling him, like, do this, and say it like this," and he's like, you know, like
You don't need
"Whoa,
that
whatever you say,
aspect of
man."
it because that voice is like a fine instrument for hip hop. Like Snoop's voice is just icon. Certain guys tip or whatever. There's just they were blessed with something. Guru,
Magoo.
not the strongest lyricist, but we
Oh,
love him.
Magoo.
Just he says it himself. You know, it must be the voice. You know, he knows it. But like Snoop's got that.
I want to
Got
bring it.
those
I want to
pipes.
bring it back to Magoo. I haven't thought of Magoo in a minute, but
Since
he
my
wa-
since I picked all y'all.
yeah, because he was like he sounded like Q-Tip. I remember.
with
And-
like nasal congestion.
Yeah, and like Gorilla Black sounded like Biggie, right?
Biggie.
And then
Sure.
like
Well, we can
na-
take it all the way back when Dana Dane sounded like Slick Rick.
Yeah.
Slick Rick was actually from the UK. Dana Dane was like from Brooklyn. He
Yep.
was rapping like this. I was like, what?
and the only person who caught shit was Action Bronson for
Sounding like Ghostface.
Well,
Yeah.
what about Droog and Nas too? That's like
yeah, but Droog
he
isn't
catches
really
a lot of
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
but
yeah.
Droog isn't really like on like any level.
Right.
No,
like-
but for catching shit for sounding like somebody, a lot of people with Droog.
But
I hear that.
it's just Action Bronson's on TV. He's like so
Yes.
visible that people and the thing, if you listen to Action Bronson talk, he raps like he talks. It's just what his fucking voice sounds like.
Listen, hip hop's
yeah.
been around long enough that the influence of things, it's no different than when Eddie Van Halen was running shit and everybody played like Eddie, but with their own kind of shit to it. There, you get influenced by it. And you might not even realize like your delivery of shit might be picking up certain aspects of guys, maybe not even intentionally.
And
just
even like
from-
the last like 10 years, like these kids all have the same flow. Like when
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
go on the hi-hats or those it's like, you know, they all have the same flow and they all say, yeah, like it just
Oh my
there's
god.
so many of those, and then like they all do that rap, that punchline that like Nicki Minaj started doing, you know, where she'll like throw a word in and then like it's interesting, but like everyone started doing it. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, I guess like, but so it's funny like what people focus on,
Mhm.
but maybe most rappers or anyone that cares, they don't take those people serious, but they'll take a lyricist serious. Like, oh, you can't, you know, you're on a different level, so we got to hold you to that. But like all the younger kids, it's like, yeah, you basically all sound the same.
Goddamn kids.
All right, so let's wrap
All
this
right.
up.
All right,
What do
yeah,
we
let
up
me
to?
give you we're yapping. Here's my number 2. We're up to me, right?
Yeah.
I got Dilated Peoples, Worst Comes to Worst.
Nice.
Featuring Guru, Alchemist production, DJ Babu on the cuts. Got this beautiful guitar, another one. I'm a sucker for when it's got the guitar in there. The William Bell is who they sampled. Got to Be Your Lover that they repeat over. And this is another one of those songs I heard so many times as like when I'd stay up to listen to Stretch and Bob, and this would be on the background if someone would come in and freestyle to it or something. It was just always on. But it's like the best Primo track that Primo didn't do. For me,
Yeah.
it's got that same encapsulation of that sound and vibe, but that's mine too.
So it's funny, that should have been in my top 10, and I'm looking at it. I was like, oh, I forgot to write it down. So that's on my next my top
I can't
10
believe the lack of ones we've
crossover.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a
no
lot of
dupes.
It's
stuff.
pretty cool.
It's 80 fucking songs.
I think that's pretty
total.
awesome.
Dilated is great. That is their best beat. But also, like I had the platform on there and Work the Angles, which was like another
Mm.
one.
Good one.
But anyway, number 2 for me is Jay-Z. On to the next.
yeah.
Swiss Beats. That is I love that beat. It's
It's
so good.
Blueprint 3, right?
Yeah. Yep,
Yep.
yep.
It's
And
like my second least favorite Jay-Z album ever made.
but it has
That's some joints on it though.
it has some really good stuff on there,
Yeah.
and this is my favorite beat on there. And I don't really fuck with Swiss that much. I like
Yeah.
his sound is okay, but this one in particular is just absolutely fantastic. So all right, let's wrap. So number one, or what you have as
Number
number one,
one.
Joe.
Drum roll, please.
You're the drummer.
Just about
I was just gonna say that how ironic that was.
about 5 minutes ago when Josh was talking about the Neptunes and their impact. He's like, what is this? Right? So my number one has that exact noise, has you bling like the Neptune sound. It's I Just Want to Love You. Yep, there it is. From 2000, by Jay-Z, produced by the Neptunes, of course, with Pharrell
So
singing the
good.
hook. To me, that's just like, I picked the Neptunes, the honorables, and the top 10. Like, I think they're on there like 5 times. But this to me is like the quintessential Neptunes beat. Just the offbeat kind of like, and then the what Chad and Pharrell put over it, and then the hooks that they put on. He's singing the Rick James hook, and I don't even know if this is Jay's idea, but they even got the Carl Thomas like I Wish I Never Met Her at All in there, which
Mhm.
kind of makes it so clever, right? Goes back to what I was saying about the little stuff they put in a song that you're like, oh, did I just hear that right? But yeah, I Just Want to Love You, Give It to Me is just like, to me, the quintessential Neptunes beat, at least for now. It's just that is
Mhm.
my favorite Neptunes beat. And who knows if they were in the studio like telling Jay, or they're working together like how you said with Snoop and the Neptunes, like maybe you want to put stuff about like that sweet, that nasty, that gushy stuff, like as like a rhythm fill,
Probably.
the
Yeah.
collaboration piece of it. But yeah, there's my number one.
Cool. Josh, number one.
I too went with the Neptunes, and Brian mentioned it earlier. Not grinding, grinding. For me, again, it just goes back to the Neptunes doing all this like shiny, crazy, spacey stuff, and then just going, "Here's some noises." It sounds like
Yep.
banging on stuff, and it's so legendary. I actually heard an interview recently, and Malice, No Malice, was originally did not like that beat, so they kept getting him to the studio, like, "Come on, man, come on, this is gonna be big," and he's like, "I don't know," like, and then he like did it, and they were like, "Yeah, no, it's good," and then
Huge smash.
obviously,
The
yeah,
drums
huge.
sound so amazing on that record.
It's
Amazing
so
drums.
good, man.
Yeah.
And
So
then
like
the
reverby. They actually, I think they might have been going for like a Lars St. Anger snare drum sound on that. That shit was real
Yeah.
loose.
They were like, we want that.
chun, chun, chun.
Get
And
me
then
Bob Rock.
the subtle keyboard that goes throughout the chorus, like doot, 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 doot. It sounds like a handheld 80s game, right?
Yeah,
That they got to make that little tune.
I'm still
Like
laughing. I'm
minimalistic,
still
yeah.
laughing at the Metallica joke. Sorry.
it's like
Gotta
all
mention
of the elements of that song on their own. Going like, I'm gonna put this and this and this and this, and it's gonna be amazing. You would just be like, no, that wouldn't work. And then you put it together, and you're like, this is the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like what the Neptunes do, and really nobody else is.
Shout out
Quite
to,
like
to the
that.
Bomb Squad too. The Bomb Squad, always
True.
put noise in. Like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like, yo, what is going on in these beats? It sounds like an alarm clock, a fucking siren, like fucking a gunshot. You're like, what is
Yeah.
this? Laying number one.
My number one is Bombs Over Baghdad by
Oh,
Outkast. I mean, this, you talk about throwing everything at the kitchen sink, man. This track is like, it has movements like a classical piece. There's like separate songs all pieced together in this.
Yeah.
And being a former like drum and bass DJ, I was always hyped when somebody would use a little bit of that. It never fully took off over here like it did in England, but every now and then Redman, I remember doing a track with Adam F. or Method Man would fuck with that shit, like a last track remix on the end of like to Cal 2000 or some shit. But this was like a drum and bass beat to me. Plus, like, and sampling, Stubblefield, make it funky, get on the good foot, some JB shit in there. Plus, just it's bananas, and
Yeah.
probably clocking in at like what? Probably like $150, $160 BPMs or something. Like
Mhm.
it's
Outkast was
nothing sounds like this.
They were-
Nothing.
yeah.
And I defy you that if you got that on in your car, man, like you are like
So
I'm
that
telling you.
I remember me and you mug blah, blah, and
Mhm.
that song. I was like, whatever. Like we were listening to it on occasion. Somebody it was like that one thing. It's like, all right, one Outcast song here and there when you had the cassette. And then years later, CMJ put out a CD sampler of stuff that was going on, and B.O.B. was on there. And I was like, yo, what the I'm like, it hit like a fucking bat. And I'm like, this is kind of good. It was the first
It's
time that I
very
was
like disruptive. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's
Mhm.
not like cookie cutter hip hop.
no.
And that's what I always liked. You know what I mean?
It's got
Like
a
something
fucking
that's coming in
guitar
like,
solo
I
in
don't
it, too.
care, take that. And it's like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of-
it was pretty devastating.
Outkast was they were wilding on that song.
So
yeah, they're going crazy.
all right, so I'm gonna close it out with Danger Doom, which was Danger Mouse and MF Doom put out a record, which was I mean we listened to that nonstop. It was Adult Swim, the connection that started it all. There's a song called Old School that has Talib Kweli on it, and it's the combination of my worlds where it's like hip hop beat from Danger Mouse, but the sample that he took was an old Grindhouse, the Grindhouse movies.
Oh wow.
Like if you listen to it, it's
Oh, the coming attractions. part
yeah.
With
So
the
like
psychedelic
yes,
thing in the back.
that's
Yeah,
how.
yeah.
So he took that beat and he fucking added that sample, and we were just like, what the? And they're talking about like Sunday morning cartoons. Yeah, that just became like the soundtrack. So like probably like 5 years straight, like we would listen to that, and it's just from now when I watch any Grindhouse trailer movie or whatever, when I hear that, that's all I think of. Now it's like the flip side of it, and it's definitely I feel okay saying that that is probably my favorite beat of that decade. So
Wow.
Nice.
cool, man. Yo,
Outstanding.
this was a nice long one. We took people to school. We took people to church. Not the Kanye West one, the other
No.
one. Yeah.
I'm
The
also
one-
glad that
We're not affiliated with Kanye West or R. Kelly or anyone else mentioned.
or Metallica's drum sound.
Metallica's drum set. Bob Rock is not
Yeah.
does not
I'm just-
sign off on us.
in the beginning when I was apologizing to those that didn't make my list, but I'm glad that the 2 clip singles from the Neptunes made it onto your guys' list because I don't want to go like 80% Neptunes on my list, but grinding and when the last time. I mean, those
Yeah.
were hard Sophie's choices that I had to make.
Yeah, no, we did good.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah, everyone make your playlist and send it to me, or not even you don't have to send it to me. Just like
post it.
like I'll put the episode up, let the episode ride out for like a week, and then just be like, hey, the second, like if you post it a second week, just be like, hey, this is like the playlist attached to it. That way, at least
If we're friends on Spotify too, I have actually, since we've been doing these, and before that even, I have a playlist soul funk samples that I've been pulling. Like every time I find an original sample of this shit, I've been making a playlist on Spotify. It's like fucking hundreds of tracks long, but
Awesome.
cool,
hit me up.
guys. Later, man. Until next time.
Later.
This was
All right,
fun.
Paul.
Thank you for
Yeah,
the
awesome.
opportunity again.
All right, guys.
Later, man.
Get it done. Yeah.